I hired her as my assistant. But she became my addiction. I never thought one simple hiring decision would turn my entire world upside down. I had been running my marketing firm in downtown New York for 6 years, successful, respected, and entirely too married to my work. Relationships never lasted, flings came and went, but my office, that was my kingdom. That was until she walked in, my new assistant, Ava Reynolds. The first day she walked through the glass doors, the entire office seemed to stop breathing. She wasn't just beautiful, she was effortlessly magnetic. Long brown hair that seemed to move like silk, an easy smile that carried a dangerous innocence, and those eyes, warm amber, yet hiding something deeper. She wore a crisp white shirt tucked into a pencil skirt that made time itself pause. She was confident, polite, and professional. But even then, there was something about her that threw me off balance, something I couldn't name, yet couldn't ignore. "Mr. Carter," she said softly as she stood in my doorway. "You wanted to see me for the client brief?" Her voice was calm, smooth, like honey laced with quiet challenge. I looked up, pretending to stay focused on the laptop. "Yes, Ava. Come in." She moved closer, the scent of her perfume, jasmine and something darker, surrounding me. I tried to keep my eyes on the presentation, but the air between us was alive. When her hand brushed mine while reaching for the files, something in my chest tightened. For weeks, I tried to fight it. Tried to convince myself it was just attraction, the kind that passes. But it didn't. It grew worse. Every time she entered the room, the temperature seemed to change. Her professionalism only made it harder. She never crossed a line, never flirted openly, but her presence spoke louder than words. Late nights at the office became dangerous. One night, it was almost midnight. The rain was tapping against the windows, most of the city asleep. Ava was still there, working through a proposal by my side. Her hair was loose, her glasses slightly slipping down her nose. "Why are you still here?" I asked quietly. She looked up, smiling. "Why are you?" That smile. That question. The tension that followed could have set fire to the room. I tried to look away, but she didn't. Our eyes locked, that silent moment when every boundary begins to blur. "I should go," she whispered, but her voice didn't sound convincing. Instead of replying, I just stood. So did she. Neither of us moved closer, but the space between us disappeared anyway. My heartbeat roared in my ears. When she finally turned to leave, she brushed past me, her shoulder against my chest. My hand moved before I could stop it, lightly catching her wrist. She froze. "Ava," I said quietly, "if I don't let go right now." She looked back at me, her breath trembling. "Then don't." That was the first night I kissed her. It wasn't planned, it wasn't soft, it was a storm that had been building for weeks. When her lips met mine, all logic vanished. I pulled her closer, her hand sliding up my shirt, her body pressed against mine. The office lights dimmed, the rain outside blurred the city, and for a few stolen hours, there was only us. But love born out of danger always demands a price. The next morning, she was distant. Polite, but careful. I tried to act normal, but my mind couldn't forget the taste of her lips. That weekend, I didn't sleep. On Monday, she handed me the new reports like nothing had happened, except her hands trembled slightly. "Ava," I said, stopping her before she left. "We need to talk." She hesitated. "About work?" "No," I said. "About us." She closed the door, exhaled slowly, and whispered, "There shouldn't be in US." She was right. But it was already too late. Days turned into weeks, and we both pretended. Pretended not to stare too long, not to find excuses to be near each other. But the pretending didn't last. One evening, I caught her in the elevator, alone, heading down. She looked up, startled to see me. "Are you avoiding me?" I asked quietly. Her eyes softened. "I'm trying to protect both of us." I stepped closer, lowering my voice. "From what?" From this, she whispered, as my hand found her waist. Because once we start again, I won't be able to stop. The elevator doors closed, and for the next few seconds, maybe minutes, everything we'd been holding back came undone. Her fingers tangled in my hair, my lips traced the line of her jaw, and the city spun outside those silver doors. We became inseparable. Hidden, but burning. Every touch, every look was a secret. In meetings, she'd sit across from me, legs crossed, pretending to take notes while I struggled to keep my focus. After work, she'd find her way to my apartment overlooking Central Park. We'd talk, laugh, argue, and then lose ourselves in each other until dawn. But love in the shadows never stays hidden for long. Rumors started. Whispers in the hallways. One morning, HR called me, "Mr. Carter, there are concerns about your closeness with your assistant." I denied it, of course. But when I looked at Ava that day, I saw the fear in her eyes. I realized how unfair it was to her, the pressure, the gossip, the risk. That night, she came to my apartment. She didn't speak at first. Just stood there in silence, holding a box of files, her resignation. "I can't," she said softly. "Not like this." The words hit like glass. I tried to stop her, but she smiled sadly, tears glistening. "You deserve your career, and I deserve my peace." When she left, the apartment felt like an empty city. Weeks passed, and I threw myself into work. But nothing filled the void she left. Then one evening, months later, I walked into a charity gala my company had sponsored. And there she was. Ava. In a long black gown, her hair swept to one side, her eyes just as dangerous as before. She turned, and froze when she saw me. For a moment, the entire room disappeared again. "Mr. Carter," she said, with a playful smile. "Still hiring assistants?" I laughed, shaking my head. "Not anymore. I learned my lesson." "Good," she whispered, taking a step closer. "Because I'm not applying." The music shifted, slow and soft. I held out my hand. "Then maybe you'll dance with me instead." Her fingers slid into mine, fitting perfectly, just like before. As we swayed beneath the golden lights, she leaned closer and murmured, "You know, I tried to move on." "So did I whispered back. "Did it work?" I looked at her, the world melting around us. "No. Because you're not something to move on from. You're the thing I can't forget." Her lips curved into that same dangerous smile. "Then maybe you shouldn't try." When she kissed me again, it wasn't the same as before, it wasn't stolen or forbidden. It was real. Out in the open. She didn't return as my assistant. She came back as my partner, in work, in life, in everything that mattered. And every time she passed my office door, I still caught my breath. Because no matter how many years pass, she'll always be my most beautiful addiction.